Alright, who here is a fan of Resident Evil 4? Stop. Well, if you're not a fan, you should be. Resident Evil 4 is awesome.
This really was an incredible game. It was somehow able to be both the next chapter in an already long-running game series that fans enjoyed, and a standalone piece that anyone could pick up and play. It's something that Capcom can't quite seem to figure out how to replicate successfully with the later iterations. Hey, Capcom, it isn't hard. You want to know how to make a successful sequel? Improve everything from the original. Got it? Let me show you an example. This is a game called Resident Evil. This is a game called Resident Evil 2. See that? The sequel improved everything from the original. Another great example, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. The sequel improved everything from the original. Or my favorite example, what I'd like to call the Rareware Quadrilogy. The first game was Banjo-Kazooie. It was a great game. Banjo-Tooie, the sequel, improved everything from the original. Donkey Kong 64 took the best concepts from the previous game and improved it. Conker's Bad Fur Day... Alright, I've never played Conker's Bad Fur Day. Well, what do you want from me? I'm not perfect. I bought it online like 2 weeks ago and it hasn't arrived yet.
Where is it? Where is it, eBay? Huh? Where's my...
Resident Evil 4 is a great game, but by no means is a perfect game.
And I'm counting down the biggest flaws that the game made. Now, like I said before, Resident Evil 4 is awesome. But these are some pretty glaring issues, to say the least. This is the top 7 reasons why Resident Evil 4 should not have been successful.
Number 7. A departure from the originals. Resident Evil was a series founded on tight claustrophobic corridors with dozens of zombies and monsters that you were almost always afraid to encounter out of fear that you wouldn't survive. Yes, Resident Evil 4 had the regenerator sequence, but that was one hallway filled with 4 regenerators.
That's it.
Resident Evil 4 was typically filled with large rooms and open environments that had monsters you were glad to mow down with a single shotgun blast because you'd be given tons of ammo to take out the next group that were happily waiting nearby. The gameplay was the biggest difference in the series. This was no longer about conserving ammo and figuring out complex and sometimes insane puzzles. This was now just a game about killing tons of dudes. It's an action game, alright? The camera followed behind you at all times, a group of 6 or more monsters gave you no problems as long as you had at least one shotgun shell left, and death wasn't even that big of a deal. You die, you go back to the beginning of the area, or the last green door for anyone who's actually played the game. You know what I mean. Yes, dying was a problem at certain parts, like this room.
I hate this room. Someone find the lead designer and punch him in the throat.
But I clocked in a good 58 deaths in my first playthrough and I still beat the game. If you died in any of the other Resident Evil games, you'd go back to your last save. That's like 2 hours of progress just right out the window. Sure, Resident Evil 4 was geared towards a broader audience rather than its fan base. But why was that? Well, maybe it has something to do with... Number 6. Different versions. Resident Evil 4 went through about 4 different versions before the final product was released. That is, if Wikipedia is to be believed.
Research shows it's 95% as accurate as the Encyclopedia Britannica, sometimes more so.
Where did you read that?
Oh my god, that's insidious.
Now, I could only find footage of one of the versions, but, well, take a look. Oh yeah, that looks like Resident Evil 4. Demon babies with knives, claustrophobic corridors with bloody deer heads on the walls, invincible monster with a hook chain that can warp around the room at will. Yep. Resident Evil 4.
This isn't Silent Hill!
It's really weird to see this version because, well, this version looks really cool. Why didn't we get this version? Apparently work began on RE4 in 1999 and they scrapped the version they were working on, probably looked like this, and started working on a new version in 2001, which was scrapped for the version they started in 2003 that looked like this. It was in late 2004 when that was scrapped and it was decided that a reinvention of the series was needed. This gave us the version we have today, with fast-paced, close-up combat, weapon upgrades, and quite possibly the coolest inventory screen ever. Seriously, you can make a minigame out of just organizing your equipment. I'd play it. Get on it, Capcom. These changes gave us a great game, but it seemed to leave something rather important out. Number 5. The game isn't scary at all.
Okay, fine it is.
Resident Evil 4 is indeed a tense game. The enemies constantly gang up on you, forcing you to run and gun, and while the controls, which didn't change at all from previous versions, still required you to stop and shoot or go back to the inventory screen to get a new gun, felt very tense to be in a firefight with tons of monsters ganging up on you. It just isn't scary. Resident Evil had you dreading every single battle because you had no idea if the 1 to 2 bullets you had left were going to do anything against the one zombie you absolutely have to get past. Resident Evil 4, on the other hand, loads you down with tons of ammo, ensuring that if you run low on one type, you're ready to switch over to a different type in just a second. You even had a knife available at all times that worked quite effectively against multiple enemies. Try fighting a zombie in the original Resident Evil with a knife. Go on. Do it. I dare ya. What's that? You died? That's right. Knives in previous games were basically pointless. Alright, fine, I take back the stupid pun. Resident Evil 4 is often classified as a survival horror game, but there's very little of either in it. The original games were both horrific and required you to survive off of minimal resources. RE4 is an action game with tense sequences, but it's not difficult to survive, no punishment for death, and tons of resources everywhere. It did, however, keep certain elements from previous games that desperately needed changing. For example... Number 4. Bad writing. Capcom's never been great with dialogue, as evidenced by this well-known sequence.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
But it wasn't blatantly obvious that the writing was terrible until RE4 came about and decided to cutscene us to death with tons and tons of just awful.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too.
And...
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
And...
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro.
Stop it! Stop it! I hate you!
Resident Evil 4 has some of the most absolutely atrocious writing I've ever seen in anything.
Anything! Movies, TV, student films, I don't care. Michael Bay wins the Academy Award for screenwriting. Better than this!
The big problem is that writing was a key element for RE4's reinvention of the series. The story needed to play a big part for the series to try and adapt to a new age of gaming where we needed something more complex than giant pharmaceutical industry makes big monster things and we're expected to believe they're still in business after this. RE4 actually had a good story. President's daughter has been kidnapped. Alright. Secret Service guy goes out to where they last saw her and interrogates some locals and then has to fight his way out of the place after getting kidnapped himself. Yeah, works for me. Sinister bad guy, other sinister bad guy, midget Napoleon. That phrase was coined by Yahtzee Croshaw. The villains actually felt like bad guys, and they explain why they're doing this and what their motivations are. It's just the dialogue.
No thanks, bro.
Shut up, I'll punch you in the face. But why did we need such heavy dialogue sequences anyway? It wasn't as abundant as previous versions. Or maybe it's due to the fact that... Number 3. Linear. How long did it take you to figure out all the puzzles in Resident Evil? Take item A to location B, insert it into slot C. Nope, that didn't work. Let's try finding the other pieces in this
Giant labyrinth of a mansion or police station. Worst police station ever.
Resident Evil 4, on the other hand. I wonder how I solved this puzzle. Let me just move it up, then to the side. Oh, that was easy. Now here's a key. I wonder where I'll need it. Oh, I'll just use it on this door that's 10 paces away, and cutscene. The game is extremely linear. You know, this isn't such a bad thing in games, but the previous versions had giant mansions that you had to scour all over to find all the puzzle pieces to unlock all the doors. Resident Evil 4, on the other hand. You know, here's an actual map of the village, the first 2 chapters of the game. Here's how to go through it. Go down here, cutscene. Go this way, boss battle. Go over here, rescue President's daughter. Go up here, boss battle. Go over here, done. How long did that take? 3 hours! Try painting a one-way path through the mansion in RE1. Might look something like this.
I can't even see anything!
RE4's gameplay was basically walk from point A to point B. Along the way, obstacles will appear in the form of monsters. Beat monsters, game over, you win. Alright, fine. I can forgive linear gameplay because the game is fun. The game is fun, right? Right? Number 2.
Whoa! Holy crap!
Number 2.
Jesus Christ!
Number 2.
Oh, god damn it!
Quick time events. Though RE4 did integrate the quick time events better than this game, felt very unfair that most of the QuickTime event sequences could have been cut out with a simple dodge button. I mean, does anyone remember this sequence?
7 QuickTime events.
Basically, I had to memorize when they were going to pop up, and the best part, it changes each time. L and R together, or A and B together. The last one even required you to button mash A only to change it to B at the last second. You missed, Leon gets stabbed through the heart. Suck. Krauser doesn't even die. He comes back a second time and you still need to do QuickTime event sequences. Only now you can control Leon and sometimes they just don't hit. But I can forgive RE4. I can forget the drastic change from horror to action. I can forgive the unforgivable QuickTime events. I can forgive the linear gameplay style. I can forgive the fact that it isn't scary, and I can forgive the terrible writing. But nothing will make me forgive the biggest flaw of the entire game. Number 1, Leon! Ashley freaking Graham. Alright, let me explain this. Yes, Ashley is an annoying character, but Resident Evil has had its fair share of annoying characters from time to time. I should be used to this by now, right? Well, let me lay down some of the biggest flaws that any game can make that will turn off most players. Sewer levels and water levels. Don't have these. QuickTime events. Avoid them. Forced stealth sections. Just don't. Escort quests. Wait. Escort quests? What are those again? Well, those are quests where, after the game lets you build yourself to be this unstoppable badass with the most top-of-the-line weapon upgrades, they force you to escort a helpless and weak individual that will most likely die from one hit. For example, I don't know, Ashley freaking Graham. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was just one section of the game, but you get her in the middle of the second chapter and are required to escort her through the majority of the rest of the game. So I reiterate, my biggest problem with Resident Evil 4...
50% of the game is an escort quest.
Who the hell at Capcom thought this was a good idea to make this game tense and fun? Ashley can take 1, maybe 2 hits before dying. She dies, restart the area. Remember that sequence I mentioned earlier that was a pain in the ass?
Ashley is with you the whole time, and you have to protect her and yourself to proceed.
Why, Capcom? Why you do this?
But with all those problems aside, Resident Evil 4 is still amazing.
Though Ashley is annoying, she will always run close to you and hide behind you while you fight or duck if she's far away. The controls, though annoying, create tense and fun situations between you and the other monsters. The weapon upgrades are fun and the merchant is such an awesome character. The villains, though having terrible dialogue, do seem to act like actual villains, and it's nice to see a Resident Evil game try something new and different from an original storyline.
Sorry, Leon. Hand it over.
Mostly.
Though it has a lot of flaws, this is one of the few games where those are pretty much excusable. Even if the dialogue at times...
May I remind you that you're still on duty.
Story of my life.
I'm out, and I will see you next time from the director's chair.
Hello Wildlife Gamers, it's good to be back after a 2-week span. We're doing a bit of a format change to the web series. Though we are still going to include documentary episodes from the Gaming Wildlife Foundation, we are now expanding to include video blogs and short little sketches and humorous videos. Basically anything that has to do with satire in the gaming culture. Be sure to check out our first sketch next week, and we will see you next time on the Gaming Wildlife Foundation.